When people talk about moving to Africa, the conversation almost always circles around Ghana, Kenya, or South Africa. And for good reason. Those are beautiful, accessible countries with thriving expat communities. But what if I told you that two of the most interesting, fast-evolving opportunities are sitting just north of the Sahara, in Egypt and Morocco? These two countries are redefining what it means to live, work, and build in Africa. They're not just tourist stops or postcard backdrops anymore. They're becoming serious options for people, especially Black professionals and families, who are looking for stability, culture, and connection on the continent. Today, we're unpacking what's changing, why it matters, and what to know before you even think about calling either place home. Let's start with Egypt, a country everyone thinks they know. Most of us grew up seeing pyramids, pharaohs, and Cleopatra in textbooks or Hollywood films. But Egypt today isn't a museum. It's a living, breathing place full of energy, creativity, and contradiction. Cairo, its capital, is enormous, over 20 million people. It's noisy, crowded, and full of life. Beneath that chaos, though, is a modern pulse, a tech and startup scene that's quietly connecting Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. But we need to talk about something that often makes people pause before even thinking about living there: how Egypt sees race and identity. There's a long-standing debate that always resurfaces. Are Egyptians Black? That question hit global headlines again in 2023, when Netflix released its docudrama about Cleopatra, this time casting her as a brown-skinned woman. The Egyptian government pushed back hard, calling it a distortion of history. State-run media accused Netflix of rewriting Egypt's identity. And for a lot of people in the diaspora, myself included, that reaction stung. Because it's one thing to debate a historical figure, but another to watch a country reject even the possibility of Black lineage as part of its story. That moment made many of us ask, if darker skin isn't welcome in their history, how welcome would we be in their present? Now, to be fair, that doesn't mean everyday Egyptians are racist. It means their understanding of identity is different. Egyptians tend to define themselves by nationality, language, or religion, not by race. They'll tell you, I'm Egyptian, rather than I'm Arab, I'm Black, or even I'm African. It's a cultural difference that's easy to misunderstand, especially for those of us from the US, where race shapes so much of daily life. And I'll be honest, for me, personally, that kind of disconnect would be hard. I wouldn't want to live somewhere that sees my skin as foreign or bad, or where conversations about color feel uncomfortable. I've lived through that story already, here in the United States. I'm not looking to repeat it, just with different architecture. But for others, Egypt is still worth a visit. It's a place of wonder, of art, archaeology, and human history that goes back thousands of years. You can stand in front of something built before the concept of race even existed. And beyond all that tension, Egypt is also a country in motion, modernizing, building, trying to find its next identity in a fast-changing world. That complexity is part of what makes it fascinating, even if it's not a place everyone would call home. So here's what I tell people. If Egypt calls to you, answer, but with awareness. Go first as a learner, not a leaper. Visit, explore, and listen. Let the culture show you who it is before you decide who you'll be in it. If you do go, don't limit yourself to Cairo. Try Alexandria for its coastal charm, or Dahab for its calm, creative Red Sea community. They offer a slower pace and a chance to see another side of Egyptian life that most visitors never do. Egypt may not be everyone's next home, but it's still one of humanity's oldest classrooms. It can teach you a lot about history, about identity, and about where you truly feel seen. Now, just a few hours west, across the desert and the Mediterranean, is Morocco. If Egypt is wrestling with its identity, Morocco is rewriting its future, and doing it with quiet confidence. It's one of Africa's most stable nations, and it's using that stability to reinvent itself, not by erasing its traditions, but by weaving them into modern life. Picture this. You're sitting in a cafe in Marrakesh, the call to prayer echoing softly through the air while someone nearby taps away on a laptop. That's Morocco in 2025, where centuries of history coexist with the hum of the digital age. Over the past decade, Morocco has built one of the most advanced infrastructures in North Africa. It's not flashy, it's functional. Strong Wi-Fi, modern highways, and reliable airports that connect you to Europe in under 3 hours. For digital nomads, entrepreneurs, and families looking for safety and affordability, that's a major win. But Morocco's story isn't just about roads and routers, it's about reinvention. Under its National Vision 2030 plan, Morocco is pouring investment into renewable energy, tech parks, and small business support, quietly positioning itself as a hub for global collaboration. And you feel that energy everywhere. In Casablanca, where business districts buzz with French, Arabic, and English. In Tangier, where new ports and startups meet old-world architecture. And in Marrakesh, where creativity and commerce dance together, from handmade rugs to high-end design studios. Culturally, Morocco is fascinating because it's both African and Mediterranean, Arab and Amazigh, layered and complex. You'll hear multiple languages in one conversation, taste flavors from 3 continents, and see architecture that feels European one block and desert traditional the next. That dual identity is exactly what makes Morocco work. It doesn't choose one box. It thrives in the space between them. For Black expats, Morocco often feels welcoming but nuanced. People will notice you, but usually because they're curious, not judgmental. Race exists here, but not in the same way it does in the US. Moroccans tend to see you through the lens of nationality or class first, not color. And that can be both refreshing and disorienting, because it forces you to see yourself differently too. Now, let's talk about what makes Morocco appealing on a practical level. It's safe, consistently ranking among the most stable and secure countries in Africa. The healthcare system is modernizing, the internet is reliable, and the cost of living is still a fraction of what you'd pay in major Western cities. A modern apartment in Rabat or Marrakesh might cost what some people pay for a one-bedroom in Atlanta or Dallas, with sunshine, sea breeze, and mountain views included. That balance between affordability, safety, and connectivity is why more Black professionals, families, and remote workers are starting to take Morocco seriously. For me personally, Morocco feels like exhale energy, calm but connected, modern but grounded. It's a place where you can still feel the rhythm of Africa, but with a pace that lets you breathe. If you want to test it out, I always suggest a 3-month stay. Rabat for calm professionalism, Marrakesh for creativity, Essaouira for the seaside slow life. Each city gives you something different, and together, they paint a picture of what a modern African lifestyle can look like, when old and new blend naturally. And perhaps most importantly, Morocco's location makes it an ideal bridge. Africa at heart, but only hours from Europe, giving you access to 2 continents without choosing between them. It's not just opening its doors, it's leaving them wide open for those ready to build, invest, and belong. So, what do Egypt and Morocco really teach us? They show us that Africa isn't standing still. It's not a continent waiting for permission. It's a continent in motion. It's redefining what progress looks like and who gets to be part of it. Egypt is rebuilding its place in the modern world, blending ancient heritage with new technology. And yes, wrestling with questions of identity that many of us in the diaspora can relate to. Morocco, on the other hand, is designing its future, steady, modern, and quietly global. It's showing us that you don't have to abandon tradition to move forward. Together, these two countries tell a powerful story that the past and the future don't have to compete. They can coexist. And that coexistence is exactly where growth happens. For those of us in the diaspora, especially Black Americans thinking about life beyond the US, that lesson matters. Because sometimes the path to freedom doesn't come from starting over somewhere new. It comes from seeing the world differently. When you learn how other cultures balance pride and progress, you start to rethink what's possible for yourself, too. If you've never considered North Africa before, maybe it's time. Not because it's trending, or because someone said it's the next hot destination, but because it's evolving, and evolution always creates opportunity. Egypt and Morocco may not be the first countries that come to mind when people dream about living abroad, but that's exactly why they're worth watching. They remind us that freedom looks different in every language, and belonging can take many forms. For me, what stands out most is this. Both countries are writing new stories about what it means to be African, global, and grounded, all at once. So whether you're planning your first scouting trip or just expanding your worldview from home, remember this: you don't have to chase escape. Sometimes you just have to follow curiosity. That's how relocation begins, with curiosity, awareness, and courage. Thanks for listening to Leaving America Unfiltered, the show where we explore what it really means to live, work, and belong beyond borders. If this episode opened your perspective, share it with someone who's been dreaming about life abroad. And as always, stay curious, stay intentional, and keep your passport ready.